Hi, this is Kevin Winn. I'm the CEO of MuuvWell, and I'm excited to take you through this quarterly education. We're going to be talking a lot today about time management and habit building. It's the perfect thing to discuss. In the new year, you may already be thinking about this stuff. Maybe you already have some strategies that work for you. So whether you have it or not, hopefully today is going to give you some insights or maybe get you started on a path that you've been struggling with for a long time. I know for me, I struggle a lot with this stuff, and I've had to work at this for years and years and years, and I make little adjustments every single year. I started out with this picture today because it's pretty powerful, and when I look at this picture, it makes me kind of see into the future of what I want to be. So this gentleman right here, his name is Gene Bruckert. This is myself, my business partner, Wade Weatherholt, our customer success manager, Logan Locke. We all did an 100-mile or 50-mile race back in November called the Tunnel Hill Ultra Marathon. Gene Bruckert was there. He was competing to be the fastest finisher that year in the 90-plus age division. Unbelievable. He was attempting 50 miles. This is before the race, and we talked to Mr. Bruckert. He's 93 years old. 93 years old, attempting 50 miles. And I'm like, wow, that is somebody I want to be when I grow up. That's someone that I want to aspire to be. He was an amazing person. He had such a positive attitude, and he had done multiple races. He'd actually done this race 6 times, and he was attempting it for the 7th time, and he was going for his fastest time. So imagine that. At 93 years old, Gene Bruckert was towing the line at the Tunnel Hill 100. It was a cold morning, 30 degrees, starting out at 7 a.m. on a trail in Illinois. He was attempting by himself to go 50 miles. This journey was going to take him probably up to 24 hours to do this. 24 hours. And he had this joyful attitude. He's taking pictures before. He's just happy to be there. When I think about his age, it's like, wow, there's probably people he's seen come and go in his life. His wife was deceased. And I think about as he's out there for 24 hours in the daylight, but also the darkness, he's thinking about all these things and all these memories, and I'm like, man, this is a person that really knows what his purpose in life is and what his priorities are. And I just wonder the memories and the things he's reflecting on as he's going through the race. So after we took this picture, we started off, there were 700 people going down this trail. Everybody was excited. I saw him 2 times during this race. The first time was when I had turned around after 13 miles and I was coming back and we crossed paths. He was probably 5 or 6 miles in, and again, smiling, joyful attitude. And the second and last time I saw him was at, for me, about mile 73. I had turned around. This is in the middle of the night. This is about probably 2 in the morning, something like that. And he is in the woods, deep into the woods, all by himself, with no headlamp on, by the way, pitch black, and he's walking with a stick, and I turn around, I see him, I just come up on him, I have a headlamp on, and I saw him, and you know what? He was still smiling. He was still joyful, and it's unbelievable. And so I've been setting goals and habits and thinking about my purpose and my priorities and all that stuff in this first quarter of the year, and honestly, Gene Bruckert has come to mind a lot. And so I want you to be thinking about today as we're going through this talk and as you're listening about the person you're aspiring to be, who you want to be, who you think you were created to be. I think a lot of us know that image of the person we're trying to aspire to be, but maybe we've lost sight of the path to get there. Or maybe we just tried to suppress that and said, no, well, I can't do these things. We're our worst critics. I'm my own worst critic. I know that. You probably are too. We suppress those goals or those dreams sometimes because we're just scared to do it. But hopefully today it gets you thinking about that a little bit more, because when we talk about habits and goals and time management, the importance of all of this is getting you closer to being that person you want to be. That's the point of all this stuff. We can be more efficient here and there, but really we're doing all this, or I want you to start thinking about it at least, the why behind your doing it, why you are doing these things. Not just to be efficient or not just to get more work done. Why are you trying to do it? And that leads me into my next slide. This is why I want you thinking about this. So in America, the average age of adults is 74, or male adults, lifespan is 74 years old. For females, it's a little bit longer. It's 81 years. Now, I want you to do a little math here for me, okay? I'm 38 years old. Okay, so if I'm minus 74 from 38, I've more than lived twice my life. probably time for a midlife crisis, I guess, for me. I'm right in the middle. Think about do your math. You may be on the other side of that, or maybe you're not halfway point yet. But time goes really, really quick. That's one thing for sure. And I think we all know that. And so the reason we're trying to be more efficient, we're trying to manage our time, we're trying to build habits, is because we want to get the most out of this life. We don't have that much time here. And so we don't want to waste our time. We want to be efficient with our time because we want to spend our time doing things that are important, that are meaningful, and that we care about. That's a point of all of this stuff. So what is your purpose? So before we get into habits, before we get into time management, I want you thinking about your purpose. What are you trying to get out of life? The background picture here is from Walden Pond. If you're familiar with Henry David Thoreau, he spent 4 or 5 years of his life at this pond. And he says he went there to just get the most out of life and to realize when what he didn't want to do is die and realize he hadn't lived. And so he went here to reflect and to see what he could get out of life. And he was really seeking purpose, right? I think that's what he was seeking. He was seeking purpose. Now, only you can determine what your purpose is. I can't tell you that. But before we get into time management and habits, I want you to have a clear picture of that. So if you need to pause this, that's fine. If you need to spend some time in reflection, that's great. I spent a lot of time in reflection. Clearly, I spent a lot of time running in the woods. We were just talking about the race I did back in November. It's a time for me to get out in nature, to remove distractions, and to really think about these bigger picture things. And when I'm doing tasks and I'm busy, it's hard to think about purpose. We have to remove distraction. There's this really cool word called Selah. I learned about this word this year, actually. And the people in this picture understand this better than anybody. So these are monks from the Abbey of Gethsemane in Kentucky. Some of these monks are over 100 years old that are in this picture. I was fortunate enough to spend some time with them on a silent retreat. I spent 3 days there. Living with them, praying with them, but it gave me a lot of time to pause, rest, and reflect, and that's exactly what Selah means. And so if you're trying to determine your purpose, you may need to go somewhere different, somewhere out of the normal rhythm, somewhere where you're quiet. And for me, this was at the Abbey of Gethsemane. These individuals live like this. They're spending their whole entire life in quiet reflection. In fact, they live in silence. They don't talk. They're Trappist monks. And so they spend a lot of time thinking about that. Now, I'm not calling you to be a monk, but I want to use them as an example of people that really understand what they're trying to accomplish in life and what they're trying to get out of it. And then they are living a very, very structured, rigorous life. They're praying at certain times of the day. They have a very limited diet. They're working. There's very little time for leisure or relaxation. They're spending a lot of their time with this rigorous schedule or structure. But all of that is purposeful because it's trying to get them closer to the God that they serve, right? And so there's a purpose behind all of that structure and time management. And it gets them closer to being the person that they're called or aspiring to be. So your priorities. Okay, so hopefully you've determined purpose, what you're trying to do out of life, and you may already know that, and that's great. So if you already know what your purpose is, I want you to just continue rolling here. I want you to continue watching this. But if you don't understand that yet, it's time to pause this. It's time to stop, like we said, and spend some time reflecting on that. What are you trying to accomplish in your life? What are you trying to get out of it? Where are you trying to go? If we don't know where we're trying to go, everything else is going to be, could potentially take us off course or get us lost. But if you have a really clear picture of that, or if you're coming back and you're resuming this now and you know kind of what your purpose is, what you think you're called to do, maybe you spent some time in reflection, maybe you just went for a walk to kind of think about that a little bit more. Now it's a time to assign our priorities and make sure our priorities, so the things that matter to us, those are priorities, make sure our priorities are aligned with our purpose. I have a picture of my family here, and I would love to tell you that once my family was started, that was one of the number one priorities in my life. And I would tell you that. I would tell people that. But when I started looking at where I was spending my time and what I was doing, they weren't the number one priority. They weren't. And so I had to do some realignment of my life to make sure that I was making them one of my top priorities. This is my wife, Amanda. This is my youngest, Ella, my oldest, Ava, my 5-year-old, Everly, and my 4-year-old, Asher. That picture's a year or two old. But they give me so much purpose. And everything I do, or most of the things I do, are surrounding them. And it makes habits and goals a lot easier. And it also helps me when maybe I don't hit the mark some weeks in certain areas, but did I make my family a priority? Okay, yeah. Okay, that's good. So I'll be honest, I'll just pull back the curtain a little bit on myself. My relationship with God is my number one priority. My relationship with my spouse is my number 2. My relationship with my family is number 3. Work is number 4. And then my health is number 5. So those are my top 5 priorities. Okay? So what I do is I just line out, based on those top 5 priorities, the goals or habits that are attached to those to get me closer to living the life that I'm called to live, to supporting my family, to being a good spouse. Everything is aligned from that. And so if I have a goal for the week, and maybe it's something that's not assigned to those other 5 priorities, and I don't get to it, okay, not a big deal. If my number 5 priority, like I told you, is my health, so a lot of times that's fitness and training and things like that. If I skip a run or a workout to spend time with my spouse, to spend time with my children, well, it's okay. I don't feel guilty about it. So it's great. It kind of lets me off the hook in an appropriate way, because I can't be good at everything sometimes. Sometimes I have to let things go. So number your priorities. So you should know your purpose. Okay, what's the bigger picture thing? What am I trying to accomplish in life? Where am I trying to go? What am I trying to do? Out of the 74 years for me as an average lifespan of a male, what do I want my life to be about? That's my purpose. My priorities are the important things that serve that purpose. So for me, I have 5 of them. I just told them to you. And in a second, we're going to talk about habits and how our habits get us closer. They're kind of the roadmap to getting us to live out those priorities and to live into our purpose. So one of the important things, if you've gotten your priorities in line, you know what your priorities are, now we're starting to think about habits and goals and all the stuff that we love to talk about in the new year. You're probably thinking, and you're probably a little bit overwhelmed of, okay, well, I'm busy with work. I'm busy with all these other commitments. I don't have time to add in another thing. I don't have time to go to the gym if you're making health a priority. Or I don't have time for me, when I think about my spouse, like making a weekly date night. I don't have time to do that. We're busy, right? We're all so busy in our society right now. We're very, very busy people. The important thing is, I'm going to give you a little bit of relief, is you don't have to add anything. You don't have to add anything to your daily schedule, but you do need to eliminate probably. Okay, so if you're looking at where you spend your time, you're kind of doing this self-analysis, self-reflection of where you spend your time. I want you to do that and think about, okay, does this align with my priorities? And I'm spending a lot of time here. What do I need to cut out? For a lot of us, it's this. It's our phone. It's scrolling. In fact, that's where I was 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago now, actually. I was rocking my now 5-year-old, Everly. I was rocking her as a baby. I was sitting in a chair, and a glider in her room. She was a less than a year old baby, and I was doing this. I was scrolling on my phone, doing this. And it was a really busy season of life. I didn't have a lot of time to spend with one of what I said was my top priorities, my children, my family. And I'm scrolling, and I remember just reading something on social media, I think, and getting really frustrated, annoyed. I was getting angry. I was getting angry while I was holding this beautiful, sweet child. Like, should have been one of the sweetest moments, after I've been so busy with work and all that stuff, and I'm getting to put her down at night and I'm holding her and she's resting in my arms. There's no better feeling. If you're a parent, you know what I'm talking about. And instead, I'm getting angry about something that I can't control that's on my phone in my hand. And it was just like this light bulb went off, and I was like, I've got to control this addiction, really is what it was. Like, if I was on my phone, I had to have it out, and I had to be looking at something. And I didn't want to. I didn't want to let that go. I didn't know how to let that go. And I was really encouraged by a close friend of mine man, why don't you just take the internet off your phone? Why don't you restrict access for 30 days? Restrict access on your phone so you can't look at it. Because I know myself, and this is not, a lot of people hear that I do this and they say, well, that's such determination, that's such discipline that you don't have the internet on your phone. I don't have discipline. I'm here to tell you right now. I'm a very weak person. I have a very addictive personality. I don't have a lot of discipline. So I had my wife set a code on my phone because I didn't want to know what the password was, to where if I wanted to put Safari on it, if I wanted to have social media on it, I had to put in that password. Well, I don't know the password. I was going to do this for 30 days. Well, guess what? It's almost 4 years later, and I'm still doing it because I realized how much time I got back in my life. I was able to soak in those moments, those sweet moments with my children. I was able to read more books. I hadn't been reading books because anytime I was reading was just reading social media, reading the news, things that really didn't bring a lot of value to my life. And I want to also say there's nothing wrong or bad with social media. I didn't have a healthy relationship with it. And I think a lot of us struggle with it. I mean, there's a lot of research that shows that, right? But all of a sudden I was filling myself up with great literature that I hadn't been able to read in a long time. I was having good conversations with people. I was calling people rather than just sending them a message on Facebook or thinking that I knew what was going on in their life because I was seeing pictures. We all know that that's not always the full truth, right? But to be able to call them, be able to meet with them and talk to them, gosh, that enriched my relationship so much more. So by taking out and eliminating, it allowed me to develop other habits that were more life-giving, that were more sustainable, that got me closer to where I wanted to be in with my purpose, but also helped me to live out those priorities in the appropriate way that I was seeking. So eliminating is huge. Eliminating can set us free. And so if you're thinking, I can't add another thing to my schedule, start thinking, rather, what can I take out of my schedule to give me more life? It's such a powerful exercise to do. Take notes. Spend some time reflecting on where your time goes. So literally, document it. Maybe take a day and document where you're spending most of your time. I bet you'll be very surprised. There might be some certain areas that you're spending a lot of time in that you don't even realize it. And for me, and I think for a lot of us, it's our phone. It's shocking. You get the screen time report on Sundays, probably on your phone. It shows you how much you've been on it. You can just make that your gauge and maybe just start trying to reduce that by 5-10% every single week. And then you'll be at a place that maybe you're having more time to exercise. Maybe you're more productive at home. Maybe you're having more flourishing relationships because you're spending time talking to those people that are around you. You're more present in moments with other people. So look at elimination. It's one of the most important things we can do, especially today in our busy, busy society. So here's what I want to encourage you to do. After you spend some time, Selah, spending some time in restful reflection, I want you to just have an idea of what your purpose is. I want you to think about the main priorities in your life right now that you need to get you closer to that, living out that purpose. And then assign habits to those. And you see on here, less is more. You don't have to have 1 million habits, just a few. But some weekly things, maybe monthly things that get you closer to being that person that you're aspiring to be and to living into those priorities appropriately. For me, I have some really basic habits. This is a picture of my wife and I's bathroom at home. This is our mirror. I've got my goals and habits here. She's got goals and habits here. We have our family's goals for the year. We have over here, I have written out what my purpose is. And I read that every single day. The reason we have this on our mirror is because almost everybody, in the morning you're brushing your teeth, you're looking in the mirror, and at night you're brushing your teeth, looking in the mirror. And so it's a great time to read through those. It's a spot where I know that I'm going to see these every single day. And so here's the magic. I mean, if you're looking for a hack, there are no hacks. It's just being consistent. Write your priorities down. Write them down. And so here I've got my priorities listed, and then I've got some habits that are assigned to those so that I make sure I'm living into those every single day. And so one of the things from our relationship is a weekly date night. It's hard to do. It's really hard to do. And there's some weeks we miss it. But I want to make sure I'm intentionally dating my spouse and making her a priority. Obviously, I have prayer time scheduled on there. Daily prayer time, weekly things that I try to do because that's my number one priority. I told you, is just seeking a relationship with God. My spouse, again, date night. And one of the funny things I have on there is that I don't fall asleep putting my children to bed. That happens all the time, and I don't get to actually talk to my wife because we've had a busy day. And so that's one of my habits, is that I get the kids to bed without falling asleep. One of the other things that I have on there is for work. There's some work goals there, some habits that I'm going to do for work, and then fitness and running. And so I try to run 38 miles per week is my goal. That might seem like a lot of running if you're not a runner, but if you're a really big runner, that's probably not a lot. But for me, it's that sweet spot that I can sustain that allows me to do races and to meet amazing people like Gene Bruckert that we were talking about in the beginning. So assigning habits, simple habits that are assigned to your priorities is the sweet spot. See them every day. Put them in a spot where you can see them every single day. For me, it's a bathroom mirror. For you, it could be anywhere. I don't know what works for you, but somewhere that you know you're going to see them. It could be at your desk, could be next to your computer monitor at your desk. And then seeking accountability is huge. A lot of people know my goals. I've told you my goals, my priorities. You know that, right? So when I say that out loud, it makes me live into it more because other people are holding me accountable. And then I have really close people in my life that really make sure that I'm accountable to those. And so whether it's a friend, a spouse, a pastor, a coworker, something, find somebody that can keep you on track, hold you accountable, and that you regularly check in with on your priorities and your goals and your habits. Let them know what you're trying to accomplish, where you're trying to go, and then set up regular recurring meetings with them. For me, I meet with my pastor every single month. My wife and I talk about these every single month. My business partner keeps me on track with these. I have close friends that keep me on track. I have a lot of people holding me accountable. And that's so important. We can't change in isolation. We can't grow in isolation. It's very, very hard. Bring in people alongside you to help you in that journey. It's so important. We don't want to travel alone. We can travel faster, but we can't travel further if we don't have a team of people with us. So the art of the start. This is me at the start of one of those 100-mile races, and I look terrified because I'm scared every time I do one of those. You don't know what's going to happen. I've got 24 hours of trail and darkness and physical stress in front of me, and is all this anticipation and anxiety. But once you start, it's freeing. So just a moment after this picture was taken, we all started stampeding off in the woods in the dark to start a race. And wow, it's a freeing feeling. I get emotional every single time I start a race because I know when I finish that race, I'm going to be a different person than when I started that race. Like I literally am going to change psychologically, mentally, physically. And man, it feels good. It makes you emotional. And if you have certain goals or dreams, or you know this purpose that you've been wanting to really lean into and chase, when you start doing that, gosh, it's so freeing. It's so powerful. And you're going to have more confidence. You're going to feel better. It literally affects your whole body, from your mental your mental state to your physical state. It's going to change who you are. Just starting. There's an art to that. Just get started. It doesn't have to be perfect right away. You don't have to have a perfect plan. Just start pursuing, and that is so freeing, and enjoy the journey. You're going to fail. That's okay. You're going to have ups and downs. You're going to get off track. Just get back on track. I know so many people, and we've worked with so many clients, and I've done this myself. You have some goals, you have dreams, and maybe you are leaning into them. Maybe you're hitting the mark, and then you have a bad week. Maybe you go on vacation. You eat terrible if you had diet goals, and then you come back and you're like, forget it. I might as well not even do this anymore. Just get back on track. You might have a little setback. That's okay. But the goal of this is getting closer to that version of you over time. And it might take you years to get there. It's probably taken Gene Bruckert years to be able to do what he's doing. And don't worry about maybe just the bad week that you had or the bad day that you had. You're going to mess up. Your journey's going to be like this, but we want to just keep on climbing. And the journey is where the growth is. Okay? That's where the growth is. So enjoy the journey. If you have any questions, our MuuvWell team is here to help you. We want to serve as your guide in the journey. We want to celebrate the wins with you, but also be there when you mess up or you have some lows, or we're here to support you. We're here to provide that accountability, and we want to just enjoy the journey along with you. So reach out to one of your coaches, send us a message, schedule a time to talk in the app. You can select a visit with me if you want to talk more about goal setting and habits. Also can help you with some of your fitness goals as well. But find it in the app, just connect with us. We'd love to talk about it. There's nothing more that I enjoy than helping other people discover what their purpose is, and then help them come up with a plan and habits and all those things to get them closer to that version of themselves. In fact, that's what my purpose is. So I'm just laying it out here. That's what my purpose is, if you're wondering. I want to help other people thrive and be fully alive. That's my purpose. It says it over my desk. It says this in my house. I think about it all the time. And so by you asking me for help, well, now you're helping me live my purpose. I hope you have a great 2026. And we're here again to celebrate the wins with you. Please reach out if you need anything.